Hello friends, this is the 7th lesson or tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to cover these topics. Again, we are in exploring the data, still we are doing it, and we will be reading the data, selecting or slicing the data, filtering, grouping and sorting the data. So let's start and see one by one. Reading the data. For reading the data, as I mentioned in previous tutorial, we are using the pandas library. So pandas library is used to import and manipulate tabular form data, means the data which is in the form of rows and columns, and it includes some more functions to apply on tabular form data. Okay, let's see, the second one is selecting, or we can say slicing the data. What do you mean by that? So as you saw in last tutorial, there we were reading the data and displaying all the columns from the data set. But this time what we are doing, we are specifying, or we are taking a subset of the data from the data frame. We are not displaying all the columns or maybe all the rows. We are specifying the number of rows and the number of columns. So this is possible by using this one, selecting or slicing properties. So for that it is necessary to indicate the subset using square brackets. If you remember, after the data set we were using this one, square bracket, and here we had two things. One is start and then we had colon, if you remember, then end. We were specifying, okay, from which number of row we are reading and how much number of rows we are going to read. Start and end we have to specify. But here rows and columns based on labels. We can selecting the rows and columns based on labels. Labels means the name of our columns. We can specify which column we want, column name of the column, second column name, third column name, like that. Also we can specify or use, or slicing, or we can say selecting, or instead of specifying the name of columns we can give the indexes also, and giving the indexes or positions we can also select the data or slice the data. The second thing is filtering the data. Filtering the data is another way to select a subset of data by applying Boolean indexes, means by using relational operators, if you remember, like greater than, smaller than, equal to. By using these things or conditions we can filter the data, or we can select some part of or a subset of the data, and that is called filtering the data using relational operators or some condition based on that Boolean indexing. So that is called filtering the data. And here the fourth one is grouping the data. Grouping the data means what? Combining or grouping data according to some criteria. You are giving the conditions, and through the conditions we are grouping some of the data. Most of the time, okay, use with nominal or ordinal data. Grouping can be applied on, most of the time, on nominal or ordinal data. For example, a list of data is given and we can group them through the gender, male and female, or we can group them through the continents. If you remember the data set, there the continents are qualitative data. Through that we can group them, because how many continents were there? 5 continents were there. Through 5 continents we can group them. Or qualification, for example, if in a data set we have qualification, we have master, then we have degree, then we have PhD. So this is called nominal data, or also we can call it as ordinal data. Through that we can group them, and by group, this function we are using, group by. group by function is used, and here we specify the column name through which we are grouping them. And this group by function can be used with some aggregation functions like sum, mean, median, maximum, minimum. They are called aggregation functions, and these aggregation functions can be applied with group by function. Here is the example I said before, example continent from the drink data set, if you remember. So that is qualitative data. We can group them and we can apply any function there to find the minimum, maximum, like that. And the last topic is here, sorting the data. Sorting the data frame. If you remember, we have already said applied the sorting on a series of data which is called a list. There we had two functions, sorted and sort, and I declared the difference also, if you remember. So here we can sort a data frame using any column using this function. Okay, sort underscore values, and we can specify the number of columns here and it will be sorted. Now let's see and apply here practically. And for that, for reading the data, again we are using pandas library. So I have imported pandas library and created the object for that and run it. So it is run, no problem. And again I am reading the data. Since the data is in the same directory, I have provided only the name and I want to list only the first 5 records. Yeah, so this is my data frame. How many columns are there? 6 columns are there. So the last column is qualitative and the first column is qualitative, and these are quantitative, and here we are applying and seeing how to select the data or slicing the data. See, only one column which is called a series I want to filter from the data frame. So I say you go to data frame and you select only country and you store it in this variable country, and you display only 5 records from first. Okay, 5 records are displayed here, but it is in the form of series, not in the form of data frame. It is series, but we can convert a series to a data frame as well, just by applying another bracket, also square bracket. It is double square bracket, but here it is a single square bracket. To convert a series into a data frame, just you apply here double square brackets. You see, this time it is shown in the form of data set. If you here also apply and see the data type, it will display you it is a data frame, not a series. And now let's see here. Select a subset of rows based on their positions. Okay, based on their position, if you are doing that, so this is our data frame, this is the start and this is the end, and here I say you read, okay, you start from the 10th record or 10th row and you go up to 20. But what do you think if I remove this from here and I put only colon? So it is reading all the records. It is reading all the records from the first to the last. Here it says the last one is 193. Here it is showing us in the form of dots. So it is a huge list. How many records are there? 193 records and 6 columns. Because I have not specified starting and ending points. But if I do this one, I want to start from 10th row and you go up to 20, it is also possible. So it is started from 10th and it is going up to 19 because one index it is less. It is starting from 0, if you remember. So how many records are there? 10 records are there. This is one way. Okay, another way is here. Here it is listing all the columns, if you remember, all the columns, but 10 rows from 10 to 20. Here we can specify, no, 2 is out there. Okay, I say you read from the 5th column and go up to 10th and display only 2 columns, not all the 6 columns. This is also possible, but here you have to use this loc attribute or function here, loc, locations we are seeing. Okay, data frame, then I say loc, and you specify here the number of rows, how many rows you want, starting point and ending point, and then put comma and specify in the form of list the number of columns, how many columns, by labels, means by the names. So here I say country, the name of column, and again continent, the name of column, and it is displaying me, it is starting from 5 to 10 if I am running it. It is also possible like to use this way as well, but what will happen here if I run this, it is reading all the values from the first to last, because I have not applied here the slicing. If you want to slice them, how many rows you want, so that you can do through these values, starting and ending values. Okay, now let's see, this time I am reading through the positions, not labels, but instead of loc you have to use iLoc. I means here for index, we are applying the indexes. So the index for the first column here, for this one is 0, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5. 0 to 5 is 6. This you have to remember. So I want to create a subset or sub data frame, and for that I say, okay, you take the df my data frame, and through indexes you start from 20 to 30, and you take which one, 0 index means first column, okay, third column and 5th column. These things I want. It is also possible. So I specified not the labels but the indexes. But here this point you have to remember, it is not loc, it is iLoc, and I created a sub data frame. Now let's go to filtering. And filtering, if you remember, filtering can be applied, it is the same if you are familiar with database. In database, in queries, we are applying where clause, and through where we could filter the data. Here also, instead of where, we are using relational operators here, like equal to, greater than, not equal to, less than. These functions, operators we can apply and filter the data. So see here, I say you go to the data frame, my df, and you take the which one, continent, and the continent, when it is equal to AF means Africa, not all. See here, there are so many values, null values are also there, so many values. So I say no, if it is equal to only this one, you filter those records, not all. So let me run this. Yeah, see the last column, it is listing as only the values related to this column. I see through the condition. Here, okay, again I say you go to and create a sub data frame, the data frame. Here this time I say you go to country, and the country, if it is equal to Afghanistan, you take that record. Yeah, we have only one record there in the data set, and that record is in first position Afghanistan, and these are the values, and it is in Asia. Here instead of that we can use greater sign. I want the values to be filtered for total liters of pure alcohol which are consuming more than 5% or like that. You see how many countries or how many values will be. So this is the column name as I specified there, total liters of pure alcohol, and the values, you see all the values are greater than 5.0. So all the records are listed. I have listed only 5. If you remember, here you can put 10, it will display 10 records. See, all the values are greater than 5. And here, not only that, you can apply like functions also here. Like I want to filter the pure alcohol which are greater than this one, and in that you go to beer servings and you find the mean for that. Yeah, it is possible, you can find the mean for that also. And now let's see here, the next thing is grouping the data. And with grouping we said combining the data, and it is almost applied on qualitative data, not quantitative, qualitative data. So continent, if you remember, it is a qualitative data, we can apply and group them here. And then when the data is grouped by continent, you can find the minimum, the maximum, any function, aggregation function you can apply and see the result. So it is executed and no error. Now let me find the mean for that, and it is showing me, see, it is grouped by 5 continent. How many continents are there? 5 continents. So through 5 continents the data is grouped, and then for each quantitative values it is finding the mean for the first column, for the second column, for the third column, for Africa, Asia, Europe, like that. In here, instead of 1 column you can take 2 columns and 3 columns as well. So group by continent, and this time I am taking a list of values I provided here. I say beer servings and spread servings. You take both these columns and find the mean for them. Yeah, it's also possible. See, 2 columns are selected and these are grouped by continent, grouped by continents, and we found the mean, median, max, like that. Any function you can apply the median, you can apply here. Aggregation functions you can apply and see the median also. In here, one thing else, if you want to group, here I say group by continent, and the column I have specified is beer servings, and I want that to be in the form of data frame. If you remember, instead of single bracket we were using double brackets. If you use double brackets, then Pandas will provide us a data frame. So that becomes a data frame. So it is in the form of data frame and it is displaying us. Group by also we can group them through 2 columns, 3 columns, we can group them like this. You can specify, but we don't have like that values here in this data set to provide here, because only it can be grouped by continents. Through the countries we cannot group them, or there we don't have any other option in this data set. Only this one is, through this one we can group them, because this one is ordinal data. If we have like other columns also, we can group them and specify, and we can apply any aggregation function there. Now let's see here, the same way using filtering, find the mean value for beer servings for the total liters of pure alcohol greater than this one, and group them by continent, and then find the mean. Yeah, you see, group by continents, and we have taken the beer servings, and then we have applied the mean. Now let's go to the last topic, and the last topic is sorting. And for sorting, if you remember, we are using this one, sort underscore values. If you are applying it on data frame, not a series, so this one function can be used. Here I say, okay, I create a new data frame. I say data frame sorted, and then we say df sorted values. In here you have to specify through which value or column you want to sort the data set. So I say you sorted by continent, and you display it here for me. So here it is sorted. See, Africa is first, Africa, after Africa, then Asia may come, then like that the other values. It is sorted by this column. You can use like sorted by countries, like the second column, the first column here, this time it is sorted by this column. You can specify like, okay, any other column, through columns you can sort them. Here I say, okay, you sorted by beer servings, and ascending is false. Because this ascending is default value, it is by default true and it is ascending. You see, I didn't say you specify here like ascending order, but it is ascending by default. If you put here ascending is false, it will ascend in, it will display it in descending order. And in place, if you want to apply this one on original data set, so you use this one and place true. If you don't want, then you put in in place as false. So now the change is applied to the original data set, and you see we have applied the sorting by this one, beer servings, and it is descending order because we said ascending is false. Now it is in descending order. You see here it was 0 and now the maximum value is first, then in that it going to the minimum value. Here see, this changes what we applied because we said in place is equal to true. So if in a place is equal to true, it returns nothing, it is not returning, but the changes will apply to the original data set. But if you want to bring the data set back to original form, here I am using another function, sort underscore index, and here we say ascending is true and then in place is true, and this time it will give us the original data set. Now let's see here. Here again I am using sort by values, but this time it is not a single column but multiple columns we can take. I have taken only 2 columns, beer servings and spirit servings. In here the order I specified, true and false, means the first column should be an ascending order and the second column should be in descending order, true and false. Now let me see and display the values here, how the result is. Yeah, this one is in ascending order because it is starting 0 values, or so many 0 values we have, then it is coming like 1, 2, 3, it is going up to the maximum value what we had here. If you, yeah, the maximum is this one. So it is starting from 0 and goes up to that maximum value. So here this one, the second column, it is starting, we said false, it should be in descending order. So the maximum value is this one, it has put that, then it goes like that to the minimum value. So I hope you understood this much. So we covered these topics, and we read the data, selecting the data, slicing, filtering, grouping and sorting. I hope you understood this much.